The number one commodity in prison. What is it? Well, let's talk about that. Like, share, and subscribe. Let's get into it. The number one commodity in prison that is used with the most frequency is the commodity of fear. Fear is used not only by inmates but by staff. Fear is a commodity that is used over and over and over and is built into the system, and that's what makes it work. With inmates, the commodity of fear is you either do what we tell you or we hurt you or we stab you. Every day as inmates navigate through the system, they are a constant alert and a constant fear of something happening, something popping off, something that's going to harm them. That's why in most of your prisons, inmates have to make a weapon. They have to have a shank, uh, so, a lock on on an end of a belt, or put a lock in a sock used as a weapon. And it's constant tension, no matter if it's loud or if it's quiet. If it gets real quiet in prison, the fear sets in because you know something's getting ready to pop off. As staff, as a correctional officer, you're always in constant, you have to have a healthy fear going to work and walking into work and the door slams behind you, because something happens, you may not be able to get out and you might be fighting for your life at any time. So the commodity of fear is ingrained in the system, and the system is built by that. If you as an inmate does the wrong thing, breaks the rules, or get in a fight, then the fear is you're going to get locked up and you're going to be in solitary confinement for months and even sometimes years. So the fear of an inmate being uh, shot with a taser, uh, you know, in a fight or combat with an officer, all those things factor into your day to day. And for anybody that goes into prison and they come out and they talk all this nonsense and shit about not being afraid in prison, they're lying to you, because it's a human nature to have fear, because you could be in situations inside where it's 1 against 20 or it's 1 against 5, or you're outnumbered, you don't know what to do and how to navigate. Staff have fear, inmates have fear, the system's built on that. So every day, both sets of people, staff and inmates, have to live with that fear every day. You get threatened multiple times, uh, on either side of it. But as inmates, you might get threatened, and if you don't take the threat seriously, then you might end up dead or with a knife in your back or sucker punched. You could be standing in line and somebody walks up behind you and just knocks you out, or there could be a hit on you for your crime, what you did on the street. There's been many times when people have been attacked and they didn't see it coming because they didn't know that the person who attacked them actually knew somebody in connection with them on the street, or you might have testified against somebody. So fear is around you all the time. You go to sleep with it, you get up with it, and a lot of times you don't go to sleep because you're too worried that something's going to happen to you while you're asleep. Inmates a lot of times go in twos because one inmate's in the shower, you know, trying to get clean, and the other guy's sticking to make sure somebody doesn't run up on him in the shower. And different, depends on state or federal prison, wherever you're at, different rules apply, and different gangs have territories and different things, and you're afraid. Sometimes you come into prison as whatever nationality or color you are, you have to align yourself with the right people or you're going to get hurt. So that fear comes into factor, and you're coming in on intake and you know nobody. You're going to have a fear of, who do I go to and what do I do, because if I do the wrong thing, it may cost me my life. And if you do any amount of time, the fear is you might think, am I ever going to go home, or will I go home alive? That is a factor. As an officer, if you ever get into a situation where you're in an argument or you're trying to just shake somebody down or give them instructions, and next thing you know, they're threatening you, and you're internally you're fearful, but outwardly you're trying to put on this front like it doesn't bother you, but it does bother you, and you're afraid because you might be on a dorm or a pod with outnumbered 50-1, and I don't care who you are, you're in that situation, you're afraid. And if you're not afraid, you're a fool, and you're a big fool, because 1 versus 50 never works out very well for the one. So as you journey through and you don't understand the commodity of fear inside, you will soon find out the reality will hit you in the face, because at some point in time that reality is coming to a head, and you're going to feel it, you're going to face it, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with it. If you don't, then you might not come home. And that is the simple reality of being in prison. But the one thing is for certain, the one thing that is true, you'll never have to worry about that as long as you stay on the other side.